jar of tiny little peas. They're called rice peas or cow peas. We brought them back from South Carolina. They look, if you look close at them, they look like little black-eyed peas or black-eyed beans. And so we brought these, and in South Carolina, these are an old heirloom crop. They've been growing these for a really long time. And traditionally, you eat them year-round. But traditionally, you eat these little cow peas, these rice peas, at New Year's, on New Year's Day with rice, and you call that dish, or you combine these peas with rice, you call that Hoppin' John. And you eat that with greens like mustard greens and collard greens with a ham hock. And that meal is supposed to be associated with prosperity in the new year, somehow, symbolically or whatever. But not only could you cook these up into a delicious holiday meal or a meal any day of the year, really, you can also plant them. You know, if you think about it, that kind of sounds like a crazy idea. Here's food. You can consume it, it'll sustain you and fill you up for a while and give you nourishment, and it's delicious. And there's a certain amount of pleasure associated with it right now. Or, alternately, you could bury it in the ground. When little kids first learn about gardening, it's got to sound like a joke, like craziness. Why would you do that? Because you have faith that something will happen? Because you could eat this now, and they're really good. You know, they're delicious. But we know why we would take these seeds and rather than eating them, bury them in the ground, because we know that what will happen is that each of those seeds will split open. And what's inside that seed will be emptied out. And it'll grow and grow and grow and bear fruit and produce exponentially more seeds that can be planted and feed more people. And alternately, and in turn, grow more seeds and feed more people. It's really pretty miraculous when you think about it. The way that abundance from sacrifice is built into the way that the universe works. The idea that we could either eat now or sacrifice and feed others and be fed ourselves. These two very distinct and opposite ideas, that they're what we were talking about last week when Jesus talks about blessings and woes in his sermon on the plain in the 6th chapter of Luke. We talked about how Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor, the hungry, those who mourn and who are disrespected, and woe to those who are rich, well-fed, who are laughing now, and who are well-respected." He's talking about two ways of living. One, the one that gets the woes, that hangs on to what it's got. Its riches, its contentment, its reputation. One that consumes and stores up, even when others are in need. But we talked about another way of living that understands sacrifice, that has the same mind that was in Jesus, that has the same attitude as the one who humbled himself, sacrificed himself, and was emptied out, split open and emptied out like a seed planted in the ground. In John's Gospel, Jesus looks forward, looks toward the crucifixion, and he says, "Very truly I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. but if it dies, it bears much fruit. We talked about in the Bible study on Wednesday about the idea that Jesus was supposed to be crucified. It must have seemed like insanity. It must have seemed crazy, ridiculous to the disciples. It must have seemed as crazy as the idea of burying a seed in the ground. And during Lent, during this time that we look forward to Easter, we consider the sacrifice, the letting go, the emptying out that Jesus exemplified. And we acknowledge that as followers of Jesus, we too are called to be emptied out, to say that all we are, that all we have, all our dreams and potential and goals and plans and resources are buried in the soil that is the kingdom, like a seed that dies. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Last night at District Assembly, we heard a lot of stories about people and about churches who are willing to be emptied out, who said, whatever I had and whatever I have and whatever I am, I'm sacrificing for the kingdom. We heard about churches and ministries that are bearing much fruit all over the United Kingdom. We'll be gathering again this evening. If you can, make every effort to go. You'll be inspired, you'll be challenged, you'll be fed, and you'll hear about what happens, and you'll see what happens when the church is emptied out. It bears much fruit, and it's pretty miraculous.
Good morning. Earlier on this week, I was out and about in the street, and one of the neighbours called me over. And when I went over to his garden, took me into his garden, and he pointed to a bush in the corner. And it was quite a nice green bush. I have no idea what kind of bush it was. But he's been showing me this bush on and off all the years I've been here. And he has been cultivating this bush and dug stuff into it, and he prunes it, and he does everything he can. And for most of those years, that bush just would look all gnarled and wimpy, and it just looked terrible. And so here it was all. So I said to him, I said, "Excellent, what did you do? How did you get it to?" He said, "I gave up on it." He said, "I stopped treating this thing last year, and it just did this by itself." You know, when I came in here this morning, you see this plant here? This plant was like, the leaves were out, hanging down, lying on the table, and I thought to myself, well, I'm doing it now, I'm going to water it, it's gone, may as well throw it out. But I thought, what am I going to do? So I poured water in. By the time Stephen Tasher arrived already, it was like standing up, and then it's remarkable, and you let God do his thing. Nothing to do with my service. This morning's scripture is taken from the book of Micah, chapter 4, verses 1 through 4. In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as chief amongst the mountains. It will be raised above the hills, and people will stream to it. Many nations will come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God, of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his paths. The law will go out from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He will judge between many people, and will settle disputes from strong nations far and wide. They will beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations will not take up the sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. Every man will sit under his own vine and under his own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the Lord Almighty has spoken. All the nations may walk in the name of the Lord their God, but we will walk in the name of the Lord our God." Very cool scripture. And it sounds like a good time to be alive, particularly what he's saying in verse 4. A time when there's no want, everybody will have all they need. A time without fear, a time of complete contentment and peace. That's what the scripture is prophesying about, predicting, if you like. It sounds amazing. It does sound amazing. A bit hopeful, perhaps. We know that life is not always like that, and can often be a far cry from that as well. We live in a world where fear strives to rule. It strives to rule. A world where evil people will indiscriminately kill other people simply to perpetuate fear and have it grow and take root. We see this in our own country, and we see it all over the world, and most recently in those awful events in New Zealand. Fear exists everywhere. It even exists in our homes. We fear for our children. What will become of them in this modern age? All this stuff which is going on round about us, what will become of them? We fear for our parents as they grow older. And we fear for ourselves as we grow older. How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to cope? How are we going to adapt? We fear about the economy. What on earth is going on at the moment? What new hardship is this going to cause for us? And we fear about our church as it seems determined to divide and tear itself apart. And with fear comes mistrust. And mistrust breeds a culture of acceptance, if you like. In these enlightened days, when lies and corruption are hardly even noticed anymore, we discover this type of behavior amongst our rulers, our leaders. We don't even hardly raise an eyebrow. We just shrug it off. Corruption, immoral behavior is rapidly becoming just another accepted norm of modern society. So this utopia that Micah is talking about, this place without any strife, without any corruption, without war, where there is contentment and peace, well, it seems kind of far away. If we're being honest, it seems a little distant. Micah talks about getting up on a high mountain. Climbing higher is the age-old way of getting out of trouble, avoiding trouble, if you like. People go to higher ground to avoid floods. People go to higher ground to get the advantage over the attacking enemy. Higher ground is a good place to be. And for our Jewish and Christian ancestors, climbing higher was how they got closer to God. That's how they did it. This is why we read so often of people going up onto the mountain to meet with God. The Old Testament in particular, many references of when a person goes to meet with God, they go up onto a high mountain. And even in today's terminology, if you like, a spiritual high place would be called a mountaintop experience. If we found ourselves having a really good experience with the Lord, meeting with the Lord, getting something to deal with, we would consider that a mountaintop experience. Now, the mountaintop that Micah is referring to is not it's not a metaphorical place, it's an actual site. It's an actual place, the site of the old Jerusalem. It was an elevated plateau, and one day Micah proclaimed the people would flock to the Lord's temple, which was going to be built there. This is long before there was anything there at all, but that's what he prophesied. Indeed, it was the site where Solomon built the temple. But that was long, long ago. And there is little remaining of that temple. A little piece of the western wall, known as the Wailing Wall, that's still to be found in Jerusalem. But it's not high. In fact, you have to go downstairs to get to. And above this wall there are 2 Islamic mosques and numerous tourist curio shops. That's what's above this wall. And beyond the wall, there is a much higher and longer wall that separates nations. And throughout the whole region, nations are in a constant state of war and upheaval. So Micah's vision of a holy mountain has become much clouded by the goings on in the Middle East right at the moment and throughout history. But notwithstanding this, the vision remains. It's a wonderful vision, a vision of nations rallying together. The scripture continues. God will judge between the nations, not one against the other, not who was right and who was wrong, but settling age-old disputes once and for all and forever. That's a utopia of which Micah was talking about. Weapons will become useless. They have no value. There's no war, weapons have no value. And they're melted down and turned into something useful. Some useful tool they can use. Battlefields will be turned into farms. And water will irrigate those fields instead of blood running over them. This all sounds amazing. And where one day this will be so, it does not seem like it's going to be anytime soon. The Middle East is in complete turmoil, as so are many other parts of the world. In fact, ever since history was first recorded, there's never been a time when there wasn't some war going on someplace at some time. Even in this very enlightened age, we'll call it, people are at this moment killing each other throughout the world, throughout the globe. That's going on right now. This would be a good time for Micah's vision to come about. This would be a good time for that to happen. We are approaching Easter, and Christians across the world are praying and giving thanks for God's ultimate sacrifice. And asking the Lord, when will we see your glory embrace the world? When will we see your return? Of course, we don't know when these things will occur. We have no idea. But we can be sure of one thing, that they will occur sometime. These are not idle words from Micah. He was not a man with talk nonsense. He was a man with a message from God. He had no time for daydreaming or foolishness. He was relating the word of God as it was revealed to him without doubt or hesitation. He was saying what God was saying. This is what's going to happen. Micah could see beyond the present situation. The situation he was in at the time was no better than it is today. His world was in madness. His world was in total chaos. Exile and lost battles, and it was just a nightmare. He saw beyond all of that to see the vision of things to come. Today we can learn from Micah, should learn from Micah. Micah did not consider nor be distracted by all that was wrong in the world. But rather, he looked at what was right about God. The world's not great, but that's not God. God is great. If we don't look to God, then we can have no vision. And if we have no vision, then we have no future. Without a vision, we just stagnate and grow stale. Without a plan. If we have no plan, there's little hope. Because you've got nothing to look forward to, nothing to strive for. I'm not referring to a plan of our own making. We can make up lots of plans for ourselves. We can decide what we're going to do in the next few days or the next few months or the next few years. We can do that. And it's always good to have those plans. but mostly they are driven by our own desires and wants. I'm talking about a plan how we will know God better. That. What's our vision for that? What's our plan for that? What time do we spend thinking to ourselves on that? Not what am I going to do, what house am I going to own, what business am I going to do, all that's good, but do we actually stop and think to ourselves, how do I know God better? What can I do today to know God better? Of course, a vision is important to the church, important to our church. And we have. Our church, we have a vision. This morning I'm not talking about the vision of the church. I'm talking about the vision of each one of us as individuals. This ultimately has an effect on the church, but just for today, the vision we have for ourselves. Never make the mistake by thinking the visions and mountaintop experiences are just for the pastor and the church leaders, because they're not. Absolutely not. They're for everyone. God has a vision or a plan for every one of us. And this vision for our lives is people get to thinking that God's plan is kind of a mystery or a puzzle that has to be discovered or worked out. That's not the case. It's absolutely not the case. If there's any confusion at all about what God wants in our lives, it's generally because God's plan is getting put aside for our own plans. And we're trying to inject our plan into what God wants for us. That's always nice. That's always handy. And I've been guilty of this myself. Say, well, this is what I like to do. This is what God wants. Let's see if we can. That's when things get confusing. That's when I don't know what to do. And generally we don't know what to do because we're trying to do something we shouldn't be doing. Always, we are free to understand and choose God's way. But God doesn't force His way upon us. God leaves you to make your own decisions. God never, ever pushes you. He makes His will plain, but it's up to you. And we can choose to go God's way or not. But consequences of going our own way are many. And not the least of them is never knowing God's vision for us. Never knowing what God's vision is for us. Imagine missing out on that. Imagine that there somebody exists, God's vision for us, it exists, it's there. And we're missing out on it. We don't know what it is. Because we've taken a different route. We'll never live on the mountaintop if we don't know what God's vision is. So let's ask ourselves just for a moment, whose hands would you like to put your future in? Your own uncertain, faltering hands, which you know by experience can let you down? Or in God's all-knowing and caring hands? Good question. In recent weeks, Steve has spoken much about life and the sacrifices made during this time, and asking why those sacrifices are made. That's what our Bible studies been working on our Bible study, but that's kind of the basis of our Bible study. And the answers so far have been interesting and diverse. There's all sorts of things that are coming up. But the one thing Steve has not done, and is ever likely to do, is to suggest to us what would be the best thing to give up for Lent. He's not likely able to suggest that. And that's a wise move, not to make such a suggestion. However, I'm not as wise. And I'm older, and therefore get away with a much more cavalier approach to some of these things. So I would say, if you want to give up something for Lent, give up your own desires place it in the hands of the Lord. If you want to give up something, like give up your own drive to achieve that which is all incoming and taking over your life, just stop for a minute, get that up, just a minute, and say, right, I'll put that aside. What does God want? What is His vision? What is His plan? That's what I would give up, and I'm endeavoring to give up for life. If we can know what God's vision is, hope will become our companion. Despair and fear will be driven away, and our lives will have reason and purpose. Every man will sit under his own vine and under his own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the Lord Almighty has spoken. All the nations may walk in the name of their gods, but we will walk in the name of the Lord, our God, forever and ever. Amen.
Let's pray. Father, we present ourselves a living sacrifice. We ask that you would empower us to empty ourselves out for the kingdom. And we ask that you would fill us with your Spirit. Give us a good week. Bring us back here again next Sunday. We ask this in the name of your Son.